Hello and welcome to today's video. I'm doing the only 10 indie decks. I think this is originally from Thea, but I saw it on Meg's channel, so I'm just going to put them both down below. Now, I think this is meant to be just what are your top 10 indie decks like of all time, but I've already done my all-time deck vids so many times, and who wants to see more True Black and more beginner's deck? And you know what I mean? Let's shake it up. So I'm doing the top 10 indie decks that I have been working with this year so far, my favorites that I've worked with this year so far. So I'm going to start with the Radiant Crystal Oracle, and these are the cards. They come edged in this gorgeous matte lilac, which I love, and they have a rose petal finish on them. So you've got a gemstone, the name of the gemstone, and 3 keywords on the front, and then on the back, in lieu of a guidebook, you've got all of this information. So there's chakras, there's astrological signs, affirmations, energies, plant associations. It's got a lot of information. So because of that, I don't even miss the guidebook, to be honest. I have been using this a lot because I decided that I was going to include it in my meditation practice. So normally I just intuitively choose 2 gemstones from my gemstone box when I go to meditate, but I thought, why not let this deck choose one for you? So I will shuffle the deck and I'll ask which gemstone's energy would most benefit me today whilst meditating. And sometimes I'm also drawn to something about the card. It might be the chakra, and I think, oh, I should meditate focusing on this chakra, or I might say like there's something about the affirmation that I might use as a mantra. It just depends. But I have been having so much fun with it. This deck is gorgeous. The rose petal finish does sometimes tend to make it a little clunky when shuffling, but after a year of use, it's definitely gotten better. I adore the art style. I think it's really striking with the white space and the saturated color of the gemstones. I just really like the aesthetic of this deck, and I think it's great quality. There's a lot of gemstones in here, some of which I've never even heard of before, which is quite unusual for me since I've been collecting gemstones since I was a child. But that was fun to see. I still haven't seen some of these gemstones though in shops. I have kept my eye out for them. But yeah, this is a great deck and I've been using it on the daily. The next deck that I have really enjoyed using is the Obsidian Oracle. And it's got these gorgeous backs with the Ouroboros. Mine, as you can see, have worn. Unfortunately, the glossy black has started to chip away. But this is a gorgeous matte cardstock. I just love the aesthetics. The gothic, almost gothic-like quality to it. It's incredibly moody, and it's got that majesticness of the night energy to it. There's a real night moon-like energy to this deck. I love the pairings of flora and fauna and other objects. It's different. Like I don't normally see this in other decks, so there's quite a few themes in here that I don't get elsewhere. And the guidebook is great. It's real itty-bitty, but it does the job. It's really interesting, and I just have so much fun. It brings me joy. You know, it just sparks joy. I love the size. I really love smaller decks because they're so much easier for me to shuffle with my little baby hands. And yeah, this deck has been really fun. I think I took it out to use with a new deck that I had purchased, and I was like, oh man, I really love this deck. I sort of forgotten how much I love it, and I just don't tend to use it that often because also I have like this fear of like ruining it. And I'm like, girl, things are meant to be used. It wants to be played with. It wants to be worn down. It wants you to utilize its wisdom. So I have been having a ball with this one. This is the Obsidian Oracle. Next up, we have the Divine Codes Oracle. This is another new deck. So a lot of these are new decks, and that's why I'm enjoying playing with them so much. This has a beautiful mauve, dusky pink glittered matte edging, and the cards have these gorgeous lilac roses, which are my favorite, and rosaries. The cardstock is a rose petal, but I find this one actually shuffles fine right away. The cards a collage. I'm starting to like really get into collage decks. It's my like collage era, so I'm slowly sort of leaning towards new ones that come out, because this year though I am still on my low buy year, so I'm not really purchasing much. Haven't purchased almost any decks this year so far, but in the future I will be bookmarking collage decks that take my interest, but I couldn't pause on this one because I love the backs. Like roses and rosaries are just some of my favorite things, and I couldn't help myself. This definitely has a star seed energy and theme to it. So if you're not into like star seed stuff, probably don't get this deck. Some of the cards I don't like, but then some of them I absolutely love. So it is a mixed bag, but I am still enjoying my time with it, and it's still new, so it's still got that, you know, fresh deck energy to it. But this is the Divine Codes Oracle. Next up, we have an oldie but a goodie. I don't think I'll ever get sick and tired of using this deck. I use it still almost every day, a couple days a week. This is the Begin Oracle. The thing I really severely dislike about this deck is the size, both the cards and the guidebook. The guidebook is almost gag style size. It's like, is this a joke? Is this a joke? Is this book for giants? But I still adore it. I just wish it was smaller so it was easier to handle and not so cumbersome. But I just like this deck. A big part of it is the guidebook. It's really cool. It's got a lot of different associations and bits and pieces to it. It's really eclectic and all over the place. It's not really uniform, and I like that. And this deck is the same even with the cards. Like we've got a number up here, then we're putting the words down here. It is just doing its own thing, and it doesn't care. It doesn't follow the rules, and I sort of like that chaotic energy about it. It's even the same with the art style. It is varied. It's not really consistent. A lot of it is that is a collage style. Like I said, I'm really vibing with a collage now, but then some of it's like this, just a hand-drawn stuff. So it is totally random, but I find it very enjoyable, and I just love sitting down with it. Look at that Bubba having his milk drink. So yeah, this is a deck that is always pretty much in rotation. I don't think I've ever taken it out of rotation. I just love it. So next up, we have the Playful Heart Tarot. Now this deck, I actually had this away in storage, so I edged mine in a pink. Why is this card? Oh my god, did I cut it? Oh, I know what I've done. I think I was going to give this deck away because this was in the beginning of my journey, and I did not know tarot, obviously off by heart, and the guidebook I thought sucked. I did not like the guidebook. I didn't like the way it was written up, and it really just didn't give me what I needed, and so I couldn't read with it because I couldn't read the guidebook. So I decided to re-gift this, and then something about it, I held on to it. I decided, no, I don't want to re-gift it. It's got a beautiful glossy linen cardstock, and this is the cardstock I wanted for my homemade self-care deck, which I will be putting up soon, but didn't quite get this cardstock. I just kept it, and then I thought, instead of rehoming it, I'll repurpose it. So as you can see in the 9 of Pentacles, I've cut off the bottom of the card because I was going to stick the cards in my journal, in my diary. And then I stopped. After I cut that one, I was like, I don't know. Actually, I don't know if I commit to doing that. So I put it back and I just put it in a cupboard. And then out of nowhere, I've stumbled upon it again. Now that I can actually read without a guidebook, I played with it and it read really freaking well for me. And I do love the illustrations, and it's fun and it's childlike. And yeah, I highly regret now butchering my 9 of Pentacles card. It's one of those things. Sometimes I'm like, maybe I should just put some decks in storage for a while before moving them on. Like in this case, this deck was saved by the fact I now know tarot. Like I know I can read tarot without going to a guidebook, and therefore it works. I don't have to read that guidebook, which was so irritating to me. That's not the case with all decks. Some decks I know straight away, I'm like, I don't want this. But with this one, I just couldn't move it on. I couldn't repurpose it. I was like, oh, I don't want to do either of those things. And the reason was because, yeah, I had to wait until I was able to read with it sans guidebook. So now I've been having fun with it again. And it's fine. I don't know how much that cut card is going to affect my shuffling. I might have to do a fan style spread to make sure it doesn't affect anything. But thank God, yeah, I didn't throw it away, because now I've had a great time with it, and it's come back in my life at a time where I now am really leaning into this playful, childlike energy. I've come through so much heaviness, heavy emotions, grief, loss, heartbreak, that I'm really feeling the need to be comforted by these sorts of energy decks. And you'll see that with the rest of them that I've put in there, which, for instance, is the Whispers of the Soul deck. So I have really been leaning heavily towards the more brightly coloured and childlike decks. These are the backs. The cardstock is like a satin. It's very papery and thin. I don't love the cardstock on this one. But I love the illustrations. So the artwork is just speaking to me right now because, like I said, I'm in this childlike kind of cocoon nest, recuperating, licking my wounds, reparenting myself, healing my heartache, and this is what is helping. This deck also has a bit of a angelic energy to it, as well as starseed kind of energies, that cosmic, celestial, angelic realm energy, and I find that comforting. It's not one I normally go to, the angels, but at the moment I am definitely leaning on my angels a bit more and wanting that nurturing and that sort of comfort of, hey, can you just take care of me for a while, please? So I can just rest and recover while I heal. The next deck that I have used is the Tarot of Oneness, which is once again a newer kind of deck to my collection. It's got a beautiful peach matte edging. I'm really a sucker for coloured matte edging, and these lovely rainbow backs. The cardstock is this beautiful silky satin matte. And yeah, this is a fun, light-hearted, caring, supportive, cheerleadery type deck, and that's just really what I read right now. I don't need harsh truths and brutal honesty. I want, to nuzzle into the bosom of my decks and have them comfort me and give me guidance and light my path while I am floundering about in the dark. So this deck has a sort of supposed to be a perspective, first person perspective, but I find that not all of them feel that way personally. Like this one doesn't feel that way, but some of them it does look like you are in the card. It's your viewpoint, like this one. And they're quite varied, but I generally like the sort of variety of images. It doesn't get boring because they are kind of different and but still lovely. It's got like almost a cartoon-like quality to it as well. Do I flip through cards too quick? I think I do. I've got to slow down. But yeah, this is just one that I have really enjoyed using at this present time. Then we've got this deck. So not only have I been leaning into, so this is called Wild Child Oracle cards, and they've got these pastel rainbow, this matte dark grey edging. They are a rose petal finish and they are oval shaped, my only sort of oblong oval shaped deck. This deck is a poetry deck. So each entry in the guidebook is a poem. It is translated, so the grammar is not always correct, but I have been really pulled to poetry at the moment. I think that's one of those things too, when you're going through something, sometimes poetry is a balm and helps soothe you and to express what you couldn't express or articulate. I think poetry is great for that, to encapsulate a feeling and describe it. So this one is definitely one that I sort of sit with the image and I sit with the poem, and sometimes I write my own poem instead, but I have just really enjoyed pulling from this deck. It has a really calming energy and a quiet energy and a very earthy kind of grounding feeling, and so I have really enjoyed my time with this at the moment. And then we've got my last deck for this one, and for me that is the Witch's Cats Oracle. So this is a square deck. I've edged mine in a purple. It is a satin finish. I love the size, the theme, guys, the theme. Of course, during this time I'm going to gravitate towards kitty decks because cats are like my soul animals. I have 4 of them. I am on my way to being a crazy cat lady and I am owning it. So this deck, I've wanted her Spirit Cats deck for ages, but when I went to finally go and pull the trigger on that purchase, I saw that she was making a Witch Cats deck, and I'm like, even better. I don't know if I'm going to get the other one, perhaps. I don't know. It's like, do I really need another very similar deck? Probably not, but I love it. Can you have too much of a good thing? I don't know. You tell me. I love the artwork on this. I think the cats are all gorgeous. There is no guidebook, it's just a message on the back. So you've got like the keyword at the top, and then the cats have names. And my dudes, when I was thinking of names for my cats too, I reference this deck. I'm like, let me see what names the cats have on here, because they're all fabulous. I love all of the names that she chose. And this is the deck that I actually went to. I said, okay, give me the card that signifies my soul cat so that I know when I'm looking at cats to rescue, I will shuffle. And if you give me that soul cat card, I'll know that's the one to get. And so with this deck, the soul card cat was Lexipuff. If it comes up, I will call it out. And when I started looking online, I would shuffle the cards. And when I found Bluebell, Blue, her name online was Kitty Blue, the Lexipuff card came out. I was like, this is your cat. And I'm like, come on, bruh. And then I still, you know, sometimes when you just like, you doubt and you second guess, you're like, oh, what's the chances? You know, maybe I didn't shuffle enough or whatever it is. This came with a gold coin right here. So, because I got this on their Kickstarter. So it's got like 2 sides to the coin and you can use it as a yes, no. So I also then decided to flip the coin. And I was like, is this cat my soul cat? And it just came up. It's like, yes, bruh. Like, we already gave you the card, woman. What more information do you need? What more validation do you need before you go and get this cat? And yeah, Blue, as soon as I got her, I knew she was the right cat for us. I had an instant connection to her when I brought her home. I was still a bit like, oh, I really don't think I should have a 4 cat. Perhaps I'm making this decision based on my losses. And yes, that was very heavily into it. I was also getting a 4th cat to help with Sylvie's sort of destructive behavior and boredom, and it's definitely worked for that. But I was just so going back and forth. But this deck really helped sort of calm me down and be like, this is your cat, man. Like, chill. It's all going to be fine. You can do it, and it's all going to work out. And I'll have I don't need any more cats. It's not like I need, you know, my cat quest is now done. But this deck will always hold a special place because of its part in the journey of me adopting my current cat. I just want to see if I can get to the Lexipuff so you can see which one. I love this picture though. So I got this picture big size. She gave everybody a big size picture to frame as part of the Kickstarter, which I thought was lovely. I bet you Lexipuff was at the beginning. But yeah, so these are the decks that I have been using recently. And like I said, most of this she's right at the back. Of course. What's the chances? Lexipuff. True sight. Yeah, all of these decks currently, the indie decks that I've been using, are the ones that have a very motherly, besides Obsidian Oracle, pretty much, a really calming, peaceful energy. And that has just been really beneficial for me right now. That more childlike, playful, fun, light-hearted, whimsical, magical type decks are the ones that are resonating with me at the moment and really helping me during this time and what I need. And I'm thankful that I have them in my arsenal to use as necessary. So next up is a new deck to my collection. This is the Kitten Nugget Tarot in this tuck box is where it comes. It also comes in an even larger fast food tray type box, kitties. It's got holographic edges and foiling on the front. And it is a matte cardstock. So the quality of the deck is gorgeous. Now, like I said, I got this in a Kickstarter, and I'm really happy with the quality of the production. It is really cute. It's got such a playful, fun, easygoing energy. And at the moment, kitties, these were my 10 choices for this video. I hope that wherever you are having a magical morning, afternoon, or evening. And as always, stay wild, Star Child.